Correct. The conflict was being squashed by Fat Joe. Irvin Jaw said, "No, we're not squashing," after I had it. "The no wasn't initiated by you. I didn't start, therefore it's not good. Listen, I didn't initiate it. I don't go on with it. I don't care about it." Did you actually purchase Jaw's concert tickets? Inexpensive tickets. The tickets were reasonably priced. Okay, they were similar to StubHub. However, I did purchase the first 4. How many did you purchase? Is it several $100s if you claim to have purchased the first 4 rolls? Yes, but it was only inexpensive. Inexpensive tickets. It's something to do then. J. Rule and 50 Cent recently got into a heated argument once more. Out of nowhere, J chose to spice things up by drinking shots at 50 as if we were in 2003. Jay still acts tight about the way things used to be, even though you would think that after all these years, things would have calmed down. However, Fat Joe has now joined in, asserting that Jaw is the one who wishes to maintain the feud. Additionally, it seems that it all stems from the moment 50 knocked Jay out in Atlanta. Okay, cool. Jude, this comes after 50 was killed. I don't think you're a black kid. Jay never appears to have moved on from this. Now that Jay and 50 are trading barbs on social media, the entire situation is exploding once more. Let's dissect everything. Music. As you are all aware, 50 Cent and Ja Rule have been at odds for years, and it doesn't appear that they will be getting along anytime soon. Jay started things off by flexing his tour profits and throwing serious shade on X. With the caption, "Y'all," Ja shared a montage from one of his performances, attending that Ja Rule show. Imagine attempting to make fun of someone who is currently earning 6 figures a show while on tour. Ninjas like you cook. 50 Cent, please take notes as you have been doing. The appearance of a true performer. LOL. However, 50 Cent wasted no time in retaliating. He shared a screen grab of a news a few days later that revealed his performance at London's Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on July 4th had sold out. "How do you win a fight if you're fighting someone who is too dumb to know they lost?" He captioned the photo. "Simply strike them until they stop moving." However, others stepped in to continue the drama, so it didn't end there. The first person to relay a crazy story about 50 Cent knocking out Ja Rule in Atlanta was Tony Yayo. Cho was entering the hotel. Yayo was excellent. "Okay, cool. Jew was murdered 50 years ago. You don't have my faith. That's the 5th co for a black child." Giggles. "Well, come on in the elevator murder," he said. "Look, I'm not a rapper. This rapper is someone I recall. I was merely a passenger. This rapper, did he win all of them? You heard the 5th. Wait a moment. Wait. Is there any rap?" See, any counter-argument? Giggles, claps. My phone continued to ring while I was still making calls. On my phone, I had items. Fat Joe then entered the conversation and claimed that Ja is resentful because his career was seriously harmed by his feud with 50. Joe claims that 50 did more than just disparage Ja. He began a vigorous campaign that portrayed Murder Inc. as soft, which was a big smash in the early 2000s when hip-hop relied heavily on street credibility. Joe noted that Ja's radio-friendly tunes were topping the charts. However, public opinion changed when 50 began to criticize his street persona and make fun of his fashion sense. Labels became anxious. Murder Inc. was the subject of a federal inquiry. Jay's momentum then stalled. Ja Rule was the Drake of the turn with all the hits before 50 slowed him down, which is why Jay has a problem with Jow and 50. Additionally, Fat Joe disclosed that he made an attempt to intervene and end the feud between 50 Cent and J. Rue. Joe claims that he witnessed the feud's devastation, not only for Ja, but also for New York hip-hop in general. He therefore tried very hard to break her calm. However, Irv Gotti and Ja Rule abruptly shut it down, informing Joe outright that they had no interest in peace just when it appeared that progress was being made. "I was squashing the beef, you know?" The conflict was being squashed by Fat Joe. I got it. "Nah, we ain't squashing shit," said Irving Ja. Yes. I vowed to have it. Even though I don't want to mention it, I believe that 50 was saying something along the lines of, "Yo, Joe, whatever you want to do." That's what I had. "Fuck that," they said when I approached them. This, and that. Now, if you want to quickly review how this renowned feud began, It truly began in 1999 when Ja was robbed while filming a video in Southside, Jamaica, Queens. Additionally, 50 later disclosed in his memoir that one of his boys was responsible for the heist. Jay, however, saw the events completely differently. He acknowledged that there had been a heist, but he denied ever seeing 50 with the perpetrator. Furthermore, Jay said that the robbery wasn't even the true problem. He said it began when 50 Cent irritated him, when the Murder Inc. team iced him out during the recording of Ja's song Murder for Life. Then 50 said, "Life's on the line." Additionally, even though he didn't say, the song, which was named Ja, was obviously directed at him and Murder Inc., even making fun of their signature song, Murder Chant. And that's when everything went south and 50 and Ja became physical in Atlanta. According to reports, someone from 50's crew ended up with Ja's chains after both of theirs were seized during the struggle. Pendant. Now, 50 claims that they later returned it for a Matto watch. However, Jay refuted that narrative once more, saying that 50 had nothing to do with the theft of his chain. According to 50's account of events, he had presumably stolen your chain, and someone had given him a watch in exchange for your chain. Are you aware of what I mean? The story has been told to me. The story has been told to you. It's also foolish. Do you understand what I mean? For this reason, I think that this Ahar indicates that he is skilled at what he does. I call him MC Gusto, and he tells stories. Have you ever seen CB4? CB4? Yes. I believe that's who he is in real life. When word spread that 50 was recording at the Hit Factory in New York City in March 2000, Jay and his team arrived. Things quickly got out of hand, and 50 people were stabbed. Black Child of Murder Inc. and Jay were both detained. Black Child later claimed credit for the arrest, stating it was in self-defense. However, 50 simply kept things going and never brought it up in interviews. I didn't even visit the hospital after that I just needed 3 stitches to treat the small cut I had. Yes, you're back. I went home instead, and I'm listening to the radio hearing. I visited a hospital, so I was theirs. My response was, okay, that's the following day. Do you understand? There, right there, and right there. There are 2 scratches. All in rare Askaier could do was that. That's what I mean. They always enlarge it, more than it actually is. Naturally, though, things didn't stop there. 50. Released the No Mercy, No Fear mixtape with Gunit in 2002 and inked a multi-million-dollar contract with Shady Aftermath. Wangster filled the gap. A vicious diss song directed at Murder Inc. and Jay. The song was released in 2002, achieved popularity after appearing on the soundtrack of 8 Mile and on 50's No Mercy, No Fear mixtape. It was among the initial songs that contributed to 50's meteoric rise to fame. 50 mocks rappers who brag about money and street life but are actually broke and soft exploit street credibility as a commercial ploy and are unable to support their tough lyrics. Man identity with real-world activities. In the meantime, 50's street credibility was called into question when Irv Gotti accused them of filing an order of protection against Ja and Murder Inc. following the Hit Factory incident. Here's what Gotti neglected to mention, though. Although the order was legitimate, it was automatically issued by the NYPD. Furthermore, 50 didn't directly request it. Ja nonetheless went ahead and posted it online and called it 50 a rat despite this. As you are already aware, 50 was not going to tolerate that snitch talk. He retaliated with Back Down, a vicious diss track that tore Murder Inc.'s street cred, was destroyed by Ja's image. However, 2 months later, Ja retaliated with Loose Change, going nuclear on not only 50 but also Chris Lighty, Gunit, Eminem, Haley, Dr. Dre, and Busta Rhymes. He made a homophobic remark and said that 50 was a snitch. A snitch. In addition to making baseless charges against M's crew, Dr. Dre also implicated M's wife. However, 50 didn't take long to reply, as he, Eminem, and Busta punched back with a savage parody called Hail Mary, which ridiculed Jay's fixation with Tupac and shredded him bar by bar. With Blood in My Eye, his 5th album, Jay attempted to change course, switching to a more aggressive, tougher style, but it didn't work out. Critics criticized the album, and fans didn't like it either. Jay never quite achieved the success of Pain, Is Love or The Last Temptation after that. At that point, Ja and Irv Gotti were forced to concede defeat. Do you believe that, as you suggest, you could, in retrospect, you may say that we failed there? We did indeed take an L. The problem with it, though, is that you recognize it when you're going through it. You must thus come up with ideas. However, I'll take you back to when Ro and I were in my office, right? In the Flex, and the office we're going to play in the club, right? Thus, Flex performs in the club. It was such a great record. I responded, "You have a serious problem," after giving Rue a quick glance. "Was that what you said?" Of course. And you see, we're in a situation like that now, and I'm glad we can discuss it. Yes, we did take the loss. We lost. But what I? Do you know? Individuals receive L's. The L, isn't it? You do it. Of sure, you will continue to struggle and swing if you do not give up. However, what interests me about that is why you liked that, and why you believe he was able to do that to you. Due to the fact that there are numerous factors surrounding that plaque I told you about it. Because you were perfectly timed, you had all of it. We were dominating in addition to winning. However, 50 was not yet finished. To remind everyone who won, he performed his diss track, "I Smell Urine" at Hot 97's Summer Jam in 2014, further teasing Jay. Naturally, Ja couldn't help but clap back in his biography, Unruly, about the highs and lows of growing up and reaffirming the old allegation that 50 spied on the feds, which resulted in the raid on Murder, Inc. However, 50 denied it and persisted in taunting, which drove Jay to lose it on social media and declare that he owned 50's soul, and referring to him as his Jay said, "Let's be clear, I mind my business." However, 50 Cent continues mentioning my name for some reason. He would probably like to have my D in his mouth, lol. However, that's when 50 made one of the most heinous, trivial blunders and purchased 200 tickets to Jay's performance merely to be in the front of. There would be no rows at all. Did you actually purchase Ja Rule's concert tickets? Inexpensive tickets. The tickets were reasonably priced. Okay? They were doing things like that. However, I did purchase the first 4. How many did you purchase? Is it several $100s if you claim to have purchased the first 4 rolls? Yes. However, it was inexpensive. There was something to do because the tickets were inexpensive. For example, if you don't look at me that way, then okay, dude. For years we did. I simply said, "Hey, this is the part where I want you to feel like you have to go back about 4 or 5 rows." What? 2 decades later, what is this? This is still the case. No, it's not really that much of a sacrifice for me anymore. Things that I purchase don't necessarily mean less to me. Correct. Oh my God, it was enjoyable. It was similar to viewing it. Let me view the spaces in the show. Because they are reserved for someone else, that went through. They aren't meant to be secure. That is cruel. Man, that's really cruel. You see, though, there's more to this than just these small-minded jokes. Many folks think the feud is far more complex than just rap, and for years there have been allegations that Ja Rule might be involved in the shooting that almost killed 50 people in 2000. Furthermore, although it was never confirmed, some people think that Jay and Murder, Inc. was connected to infamous kingpin Kenneth Supreme McGriff, who had a falling out with 50. Supreme was employed by Irv and Jay as a bodyguard following Supreme's release from prison. He had connections even though he wasn't connected to any criminal activity. This made Murder, Inc. appear formidable and provided Kenneth a legal job. According to the notion, Supreme was angry by 50's track Ghetto. Consequently, a hit was released, and 50 got fired 9 times. It also explains why the feud between 50 and Ja has persisted for so long, whether you believe it or not. But tell me what you think about all of this. Is this a simple rap feud between 50 and Jay? Or is there something more serious going on here? Do you think this beef will ever be resolved, or is it simply too deep now? Leave a comment below with your ideas, and I'll see you in the next video.